before I begin my story, I would like to do a simple activity with everyone in this room. Is that okay? All right. I want to invite everyone to stand up. I'm going to give you 3 statements, and every time your answer to the statement is a yes, you remain standing. If it's a no, you can sit down. Okay. First statement. I am familiar with the word neurodivergent. If it's a no, you may sit down. Second statement. I know someone who is a neurodivergent. Okay. And the last statement, I am a neurodivergent. All right, everyone, you may have a seat. I see some of you have never heard of this term, so I'm going to share it with you today. So neurodivergent is referring to individuals who think, perceive, feel, and behave differently than what is considered as typical by the general population. So for example, people with ADHD, with autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia are neurodivergent. And for those of you who have never met a neurodivergent, today you have met one. Hi, I'm Izzat. I'm a clinical psychologist, an entrepreneur. I'm also a neurodivergent myself, particularly someone with ADHD. So, fun fact about ADHD, around the world, 2.5% adults are diagnosed with ADHD. So what that means is 1 out of 40 people have ADHD. And that's just adults, not children. So there's many more. So I got my diagnosis 4 years ago. And that time, when I got my diagnosis, it helped me understand a lot about myself. I knew I was different, but I didn't know there was a name for that. It's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And 1 of 30 adults have that. When I got my diagnosis, it gave me a lot of explanation to why I was the way I am. But like many adults who are diagnosed later in adulthood, the diagnosis, it gives me relief, but it also brings me grief. So I was in denial for a very long time, not because the diagnosis didn't make sense, but I couldn't shake my thoughts of the labels that I've been giving myself. I'm lazy, I'm messy, I'm disorganized, I'm not doing enough, I'm wasting my potentials. Those are the things that I've been telling myself over the years, just because I didn't understand why I was the way I am. I was also angry. I wish I'd known my diagnosis earlier. I wish I'd known about it so that my life wouldn't be that confusing and I would not have to go through several episodes of depression throughout my life. I got depressed as well. Learning about ADHD, it means it's a neurodevelopmental disorder, which means that there's no cure out of it. You don't cure out of your brain. I'm going to live with my brain for the rest of my life. So it gave me this sense of hopelessness. But then moving, towards the grief, back and forth, I realized something very profound. When I was young, I learned that being different is not a bad thing. I was called weird. I was called unique by my teachers. Some people see me and they say like, you're crazy, huh? But those labels doesn't mean bad things to me. Why is that? Because I grew up in a family that accepted me for who I am. I was told and shown that being different is okay. Take for example, my father. He claims himself as someone different from most people, and he wears that proudly. So, have you ever seen a lecturer who climbed out the mountain just to mark an exam papers. That's not common, right? So that's my dad. He's different. Eventually I figured out where my genes come from. And my mom, she was and still is amazing. She was the one who taught me about acceptance. She's very young. So, as a child, I was this impulsive kid. So, impulsive is a hallmark trait of ADHD. You hear inattentive, hyperactivity, and impulsive, and I got the package. So, as a child, it was very hard for me to resist my urge to buy things. When I was young, I remember my parents taught me and my siblings early about financial management. But I was a failed student. Yeah, my favorite word is believe, believe, believe. Buy, buy, buy. And not only I did not have as much saving as my siblings, I also became a bit of financial burden to my father. But instead of scolding me or punishing me, my mom, she had a chat with me and sorry. She told me, she discussed some things with me, and from that conversation, it actually led me to having my first ever job at the age of 10 as an entrepreneur. So imagine in our neighborhood, I was this famous kid. A lot of kids were looking up at me because I would go to the park and I would bring my backpack full of snacks, chocolates, sweets, and yeah, that's the Malaysian ice cream. I sold them for 20 cents back then. So everyone is looking for me. And I enjoy after school going to the shop to buy things and then selling that to my friends. I was really good at it. So you know what my mom did? She looked at problem and she turned that into opportunity. That's how amazing she is. And me being hyperactive, when I was in high school, I love studying, I love learning, but studying in school is not easy for me. I was a lot understimulated and I need a lot of play for me to engage. So I asked my parents, can I bring rollerblade, piano, and a bicycle to school? I was in boarding school at that time. And instead of them looking at me very weird and say like, what? Why? They just said, okay, you go ask your headmaster. If you got permission, we'll bring them for you. So that's me in high school doing SPM. I was there playing basketball with a rollerblade. So that helped me as well in my academics. And you see, I grow up like that and believing that it's okay to be different. Even if I tell my mom I'm sad, like when I do fit in, when I'm different, she'll just tell me it's okay to be different. As long as you're not breaking the rules, you're not breaking your religion or against moral values, just do what works for you. Yeah, look at your father. So set up. It's okay to be different. So I wish my story stopped there, right? Growing up, feeling okay to be different. But then adulthood came. Anyone here is a fan of adulthood? Can I see hands? Okay. Adulthood is difficult, right? Yes. But it was even difficult for someone who's different, someone who don't fit in. So I see a pattern in myself. I get very excited when I go into a new situation, a new place, and I would perform very well because there's novelty, shiny things. But as time goes by, when it becomes more routine, I start to struggle to keep going. And I see this a lot of time. So missed deadlines, I forgot about things. So there's a lot of things that becomes much and much harder as I grow up. And I don't understand why. I've asked people for advice. I've tried many strategies, but they don't work for long. And imagine when you try doing something and you fail again and again, you just felt helpless. So that's how I got into depression, slipped back into depression. So as a child, I feel like I am in the safety net of my parents. But when I was an adult, I have my own responsibility. I need to be doing things myself, then it gets harder. And as a child, I feel like it's okay to be different. But when I was an adult, I wanted to be like others. I wanted to settle down. I want to hold my jobs for a long time. I want to meet deadlines. I want to be able to do work. I want to be able to succeed, but then it's hard. So again, after my diagnosis, I had that struggle and I felt, again, depressed. But that was when I met someone who changed my life. So Alicia, she was my supervisor, clinical supervisor, when I was doing my practical as a clinical psychology trainee to my final semester. I remember one day we were supposed to have our supervision. So I went into the room, felt really overwhelmed, and I just broke down. So Alicia, at that time, I expect her to tell me, you get this, Izzat. You can do this. Just persevere. Just, keep going. You're strong. But she didn't say any of that to me. Instead, she allowed me to feel whatever that I'm feeling, and she acknowledged my pain. She told me, look, you're gonna have this struggle now, and with ADHD, you probably struggle a lot in your life as well, but you can choose how you want to live your life. So that made me realize I can decide things that I couldn't control and focus on things that I could control. So Alicia, she also told me one thing that is very profound. She said a weakness can be a strength, and a strength can also be a weakness. Depends on where and how you use it. And that led me to realize, hey, I'm very distracted, easily distracted. So it's hard when I'm trying to focus and do my work. But that distractibility is what breeds a lot of ideas. My mind wanders all over the place. I was creative. I am creative. Being talkative, if in a quiet situation, I would be destructive. But back then, I was a community trainer and I love talking. I could talk for a whole day, for 8 hours, without feeling tired. I'm that passionate and I have a lot of energy. So it becomes my strength and people love it. So apart than that, Alicia also helped me find the right help to support my struggle. But she also gave me tasks that aligns with my strength. And by the end of the practical, I not only survived, I thrived, was happy as myself as a clinical psychologist. So why am I telling you these two stories about Alicia and my mom? That made me believe that I was not broken. I was just different. So what's the common thing about Alicia and my mom, if you ask me? For me, they are both compassionate. They are there, willing to listen and understand. And they showed me what acceptance means. Instead of expecting me to be like the rest, they give space for me to be different. And my story may be personal, but I believe I speak for a lot of neurodivergent out there. Growing up different is not easy. Imagine you're an Android and you have all your friends sharing photos using AirDrop. And you just get out of place. And I'm going to bring you to our world. So imagine going to a country where people doesn't know your language, people doesn't understand your culture, people have always misunderstood what you do. It's hard, right? And at the same place, imagine again if those same people started to understand you, ask about you, get to know your culture, respect your differences, then it will be a better place to live. And I don't have to bring you far. Just come in Malaysia. Look around us. We are a multiracial country. We live harmoniously. We respect each other's different. We eat a lot of different food. We have a lot of holidays. That's what I love about Malaysia. Yes. But we understand. And, we don't achieve this overnight. It takes many years, but we show that it's possible. So, can we do the same for those people who actually face differently? Why does this matter? Because we exist among you. Neurodivergence, they make up 15 to 20% of the population. And that's 1 out of 5 people. And, at one point of your life, you'll meet them as a friend, as your employer, as an employee, as a colleague, as your child, as your partner, or even the person sitting next to you. So we exist. We want to function in the society. We want to contribute to the society in our own unique way. But the problem is, society expects us to be the same, to be a certain standard, doing things. So what happened? We hide, we mask, and we're not able to access our true potential. So Alicia and my mom, what they did was, they removed that barrier for me. They accept me for being different, and they channel me to a path that not many people are taking. And I was able to explore my potential because of that. You know, imagine if there's a lot of my moms and Alicia's out there. How great would that be? And, you know, that could be you here in this room. How do you make this magic happen? I'm going to give you a simple formula. Just remember 3A. First is awareness. If you don't know about neurodivergence, you can just ask. If you meet someone who's different from you, just be willing to listen and understand them. Second, acceptance. Listening is not enough. You want to make space for these differences. You want to acknowledge that it's okay for you to not be the same as me. And third, turn that into action. Then look at people, instead of looking at their deficits, look at their strength. You can accommodate them, you can find ways to support them, and you can discuss together to figure out different ways that may work. It's not that difficult. And imagine if you meet someone who's a neurodivergent next to you, and they started telling you your struggles, telling you your ideas. You just tell them, look, I'm here to listen to you, help me understand you, and we can figure something out together that works. And this is very powerful. I know, because this is what I tell my neurodivergent clients in sessions. So I'm inviting all of you to create that world where everyone can feel seen, can be heard, and can be safe to just be their genuine self. And I'm going to leave you with one question. If your child is a neurodivergent, is different, what kind of a world would you want your child to grow up in? Thank you.